Okay, this is a quick overview of 99% of my writing utensils. We have most of my stuff I just poured into a dump here, which I'll go through. Pencils, different types of paint markers, metallic markers, more fine liners, regular markers, variety of pens from another room, watercolor brush tip, twistable crayons, daily pencil pouch, gel pens, mini highlighters, cheap markers, and then this big one that's just got all my main stuff. Okay, in this bin is most of my coloring supplies with the exception of my colored pencils. So I actually got these, and you'll have to excuse the dog face. These are soft pastel crayons that I'm trying to experiment with. I have glitter paint markers, regular paint markers, Sharpies. These are dual tip pens that are incredibly cheap and don't work very well. And a whole variety of markers, excuse me. Some are a little more expensive, some are actually from the Dollar Tree or from other dollar stores. These are the pens that I probably reach for the most, and they are my gel pens, and I love them, all of them. These I actually got one of these in a subscription pack that I subscribed to and loved it, so I ended up buying the entire pack. So you'll see some of those mixed in here. I also have the Frixion color sticks, which I just recently loved. I wish they came in a smaller tip, but that works. And so again, I have a mix of cheap and slightly more expensive stuff. I have the Energels, and I have the Mujis and a couple of other things. But actually, some of my favorites are these, and they're actually from Wish. And they're just regular black gel pens, but I absolutely love them. And these are from the Target dollar spot, excuse me. I got them a couple of years ago, and they are amazing. At least I'm happy with them. Okay, so here are all of my fine liners and my felt tip pens. I have, of course, the Papermate flares, which are one of my go-tos. I absolutely love these. I also have the Pilot. These are ballpoints. So they're not technically, they're rolling ballpoint. They're not technically fine liners, but they're really the only ballpoints I have. I'm not a huge fan of those, but or ballpoints, but I do like those. I have the Staedler fine liners, and I have the Stabilo .88 fine liners in fine. And then I mixed in here, I do have some Microns, which I like. And then I have this cheaper version, the qinbo, excuse me, and they actually work pretty decently. And then I have these, which actually came from Five Below, and they come in a variety of tips as well. Another favorite section of mine is highlighters. I use highlighters at school, I use them at home, I use them in planning, I use them to teach with. I use highlighters probably multiple times every single day. So I have lots of different highlighters. So I have the Zebra Mildliners, and I did pick up the new pack and the orange pack, and I don't know, they keep that keeps smudging a little bit. But I have those, which are probably the ones I use the absolute most. And then I have some random ones in here. This came in a Zen Pop box. A couple of these are left over from my college days, and they will actually probably be taken to school for my students to use. And then I have these, which are like tiny little travel highlighters, which actually come in super useful. I use them when I lesson plan so that I can color code my classes. So I keep a set of those on me, and then I also have a set of those at home. I don't use them as often as I use the Mildliners, but I do like them a lot. So yeah, I have those, and most of these actually all of these came from various Dollar Trees or from like dollar spots at Target or Wish, or just kind of your cheaper ones. Whereas these I bought on Amazon and got those. So I don't actually use pencils a lot, but since I'm trying to improve my drawing technique, I have started to accumulate some. And so I'm not very picky about pencils, mostly because I don't use them too much. But I'm starting to accumulate some. I'm a firm believer in experimenting. So a lot of these came from the Dollar Tree. Like these, the charcoal pencils that I have, they all came from the Dollar Tree. These right in here, the Papercraft, those all came, I think, from the Dollar Tree. And then I also have the Artist Loft, which is like Michael's, the Artist Loft Fundamental set, which is like Michael's regular set. So those all came from the Dollar Tree. And then I have these, like, I guess, fancier ones. This came as a gift from, we went to an art store opening and they were giving these out as a gift. So, I mean, why wouldn't you? And these three actually all came, I think, in Zen Pop boxes. This is the one that I carry with me right now, mostly because it will run out and then I will have to throw it away or get rid of it. But I have these three, which I'll end up using at some point. Okay, so these are all of my colored pencils, and I mean, the pencils are still the fewest of the few. And again, a lot of my sets came from the Dollar Tree. The watercolor pencils came from the Dollar Tree. And also I have in here some metallic ones, also from Papercraft, which came from the Dollar Tree. And then I have these other metallic ones, and I don't use these often, but I kind of wish that I did. Because I bought them for a reason. I try not to buy things unless I have a reason to use them. I also have these Crayola erasables, which I think I got for a teaching project that I needed colored pencils for a while back. And I still have them. They're decent. They're nothing to write home about. And then I have a few other random ones in there as well. Okay, so these are my brush tips, and the dogs are whining because my boyfriend is home. This was the first set I actually ever got. My sister gave these to me as a gift, and they're watercolor brush tips. It looks like one's missing, but it's actually in there. And I actually really enjoy these, but they weren't opaque enough for a lot of my projects. So I ended up getting, this came in a Zen Pop box, and I have the Tombow Furunosuke markers. I have them in the colors, and I also have them in black, which I really like. And then I have the Tombow dual tip brush pens in, I think, Galaxy and Pastel. I don't have too many of these, but I actually use these quite a bit. So I imagine that as I kind of experiment more and get more comfortable with them, I will venture out and get different kinds of markers. Okay, and last but not least with my writing utensils are my dip pens, my fountain pens, and then my absolute favorite pens to use, my Hi Tec C Coletos, which are gel pens. Again, those are my favorites. So I have two fountain pens. They're actually the same brand. They're just the Pilot. They're Pilot fountain pens, and I don't use them very often. That one has washi tape on it. Only because I misplaced the extra ink that I have for them. So right now they're just kind of extras. I have two dip pens, which I absolutely love. This is my favorite one to use. It's just a bamboo pen. And it has two nibs, and I tend to use this one more just because I feel like I get a more consistent line from it. And then this one, which I just got off of Amazon, and it has interchangeable nibs, so I can use different types of nibs with it to get different writing styles. I should use this one more. And then last but not least, my favorites are these Pilot Hi Tec C, there we go, Coletos. I actually only intended to buy one, but ended up getting two for some reason, and I don't know why, if if it was a mistake in the order or if I accidentally ordered two, but I got two and they came with all of these pen inserts in all sorts of different colors, and they're 0.4 millimeter ink. So they're smaller than 0.5, which is actually my preferred. I prefer smaller nibs. So I had them in their original bodies, which were these nice blue ones. And then I found the Pearl collection, which came with 4 bodies. It came with, also on Amazon, the pink, the clear, the eggshell-ish, I guess, and the dark blue. And then I found these 0.3 black millimeter refills. So I ended up getting the Pearl bodies for a couple reasons. I really like having the colors separated out, and I color code in my bullet journal, and I color code pretty much everything in my life. So I put a black 0.3 millimeter one in each pen, and then I put my reds in one, blues and greens in another, and then this one's kind of the one that I use regularly. So it includes, and I can't, there we go, focus, 0.3 black millimeter, a 0.4 black millimeter, which needs to be replaced, the navy blue, the dark blue 0.4, and the purple 0.4. And this is probably the one that I use the absolute most. So right now, as I clean everything, they're just kind of sitting in here, but they'll eventually go back into my, my pencil pouch that I use every single day. Okay, so knowing that I'm still in the process, and you can see I have all my sticky notes out, I went ahead and did the pen organization and got all of my pens organized. There are actually 2 sets of pens not included in this, which are the other ones of the Pilot Frixion gel pens. I have them in a separate container because I use them for work. And so they're actually not even in the house right now. They're in my car. So I'll get through that. So this is actually an out of order, and it's because these are the things that are going back into my my daily use pencil pouch. So the Sarasa Milks, I really like, and I use them a lot. And then, of course, the pencil that I was telling you about, and my Hi Tec C Coletos. I think, if I think about this, I probably use these the most in planning, or if I'm grading and I just want to, I don't know, nice pop of color. And I use these for regular grading and all my writing. I sign passes in these. I use these the most for absolutely everything. And I do have, let me just pull it out. I have one of these. These are the gel pens I was telling you about that I got from Wish. I have one of these at work that I use for when I need to travel with a pen, just that I'm not, you know, leaving behind the ones I really like. I use these in, I have some students that I create daily notebooks for to kind of help stay organized and to help stay focused and to, you know, decrease anxiety. So I have found that these are really helpful for that because I can erase things when I mess up, or I can rearrange things really easily. And then I just also have, this is also a Pilot Frixion, but it's a marker. It's the Frixion Colors in purple. This came in a Zen Pop box, and I use this for the same reasons. So these will all go into my pencil pouch that I carry to school with me. And then I have this container of things that are actually going into the computer room. The Staedler fineliners, and also this multi-pen that I received as a gift from a friend. I keep them in there because I don't do a lot of writing in there, but I do some, and these are the 2 that I reach for the most. So those will actually be stored elsewhere. Otherwise, we have things on my desk, which is in front of my window. And I'll go through the rest of this later, but these are all the Tombow dual tip brush pens, and they're just in a container from the Target dollar spot. So I'll pull these out by color for my theme for the month, and then I sometimes carry 1 or 2 with me, but for the most part, they just stay here. And then in this one actually has, and these are all, by the way, acrylic makeup containers. I just ordered them off of Amazon and they fit pretty much everything perfectly. So I put all my Mujis in here, and then there was space left over. So I have these Altoid tins that I have covered in washi. And in here I have regular paper clips and label paper clips, which are probably the ones that I use most often, I think. And then in this one are all the Energels. And I organize things by rainbow. And then another one of these Altoid tins, which has all my funky paper clips in it. So they're like, there's hedgehogs, apples, unicorns, swirly, round, swirly ones. I think there's a flower one in here, I think, that I just got from a sticky club box. So these are the ones that I tend to use in my bullet journal. I reach for them a lot too. And then in the bottom are gel pens in colors that are not covered by these two. Just like this is a random purple one, but it's I think my mom gave it to me, but it's a really nice deep purple, so I really like it. And this is kind of a dusty pink, which I use a lot. A blue sparkle one, which I use a lot. Who is this by? This is by the Sakura Ball Sign. I have a Uniball Signo in here. I also have another Sarasa clip in white that came in a subscription box. And then I have a few yellows and golds, silver, bronze, those kinds of things that don't come in these that I'll end up using a lot. And I'll say this, so they're Disney. And I don't always go for Disney stuff, but I got these from the Dollar Tree and they're actually pretty decent. They're not small tip, which is, as you know, what I prefer, but they are fairly decent pens. So I actually really like them a lot. And then over here, just for pens, I have all those mini highlighters. I will reach for them on occasion, and I do use them at work a lot, so I like to have them just quick and easy grab. And then up here, I have, again, another one of those gel pens that I just like as a quick grab, and I have my two dip pens. The inks are actually stored on the wall back behind me, but I'm going to go through that later because all my stamps are going to be over there too. And then I also have one of these carts that I got from IKEA a while back, and I actually really like to use it. And I ended up using, this is from this container, this clear one is from IKEA, and the blue ones, which I have quite a few of, are from Five Below. And then this one, I don't know where this one came from. It came in a container box, and I still have the container box somewhere, but I use it for something else, so I just put this in here. And then these side baskets are also from IKEA. So in here are all my markers. I have some Supertips, Crayolas, and then the rest are just cheap markers. These are dual tip, like with bullet tips. They're running out, so I'll use them up first, but then I have the Crayola Supertips, and I have another set of cheap markers in here. And I have no idea where they're from, but they work, so we use them. And then here are all of my Microns and all of my other fine liners that are like those qinbos I was telling you about, and then this random brown one. I use these a lot for when I'm planning, so I have them up here. All of my extra gel pens, which are kind of organized by color, are up here, and then all the zebra Mildliners are right here. These have nothing yet. Down here, I have those watercolor brush tips that I was telling you about that my sister gave me. I do like to, I keep them in the pack just like I keep the zebra Mildliners in a pack because it's just easier to transport that way. They're easier to just pull out when I need them. I moved all of my regular colored pencils here into here so that they're easy grab access, but then I kept everything else in separate containers so that I can just pull them out when I need to instead of having to constantly reach down here. So these are all metallic colored pencils, and I put them in front because I'm hoping to use them more. I don't have any trouble using these, but I want to use these more, so I thought I'd put them right in front and center. Here are the Stabilo .88 and also the Pilot Precise V5s, which I will use for planning a lot, so I have those there. All of my felt tip, the flares, the Papermate flares are here, and then the Tombow Furinosuke pens markers are here, the brush tips. So I have all of those there. There's one more section of, or actually in here are my pencils. I did pull a couple to take with me, but otherwise they're here. They'll stay here. They don't need to be stored horizontally, so I'm happy with that. This is not in its final resting place. This is actually a giant cat box that we have, and I'm using it. We have 3 cats and 2 dogs. So I use part of it for the cats and part of it for me for extra storage. So in here we have, on the top row are all those paint pens and metallic pens. I did put the Sharpie metallics in here just because I do like to keep them all in the same place. And the other thing I have are these, which again, Target Dollar Spot. These are dual tip markers. They're pretty cool. They come in unique colors. So I have them here, and I do actually find myself reaching for them sometimes. The only problem with them is that they're super juicy and they will bleed through if you're not careful. So I try to use them purposefully. Here are all of my Sharpies with the exception of those silver ones. I have a wide mix. I also have like random other permanent markers in here. But I have, I have some of the really big ones. I have some of the regular ones. And then I have a few the dual tip ones, but here's one. Here's a dual tip, but I don't have very many of those, the twin tips. And then in the bottom are all of my extras. So this is not organized. It should never be organized. I have the fountain pens down here so that if I end up finding that ink that I purchased, I can reuse them. And then I have some extra highlighters in here. They're random. They came from subscription boxes. I also have the extra gel pens, which I'm going to have to reorder, I think, sooner than I thought. And then I have, again, my extra pilot bodies and the extra inks to refill. These are all duplicate Papermate flares, duplicate pilot Frictions, and then an extra whiteout pen. I have 2 of these. These just came from the Dollar Tree. They work pretty well. And so I have all of those in there. And that is all of my pens, completely organized. Step 1, done.